Hello, this is Michael, atheist and alcoholic. I'm attempting 90 meetings in 90 days. Nothing I discuss in these videos will compromise the anonymity of AA. I found myself worrying today that when I went to share, if I would just kind of go into that introduction and tell them I'm an atheist and an alcoholic instead of just an alcoholic, but maybe the environmental cues are too distinct for that to happen, but if it does later on, I'll talk about it in the video. Something I meant to mention yesterday is probably going to become a theme in these videos. I currently do no edits. Partly because I don't know how. I'm sure I could learn. But from what I've heard, people spend more time editing than they do recording the videos. And I know I just don't have the time to devote to it. So right now I'm doing these in one take. That may change in the future. But as it stands, there's probably going to be a lot of things that as soon as I stop recording and I want to post it, or even after I've posted it, I'll think of something I should have mentioned that I'll bring up in the next video. One of the things with AA, when people are struggling and they're sharing and things get dark, the phrase that they keep saying, just keep coming back, it works. Just keep coming back, it works. And as somewhat of an outsider, I keep wondering what works, like what specifically works. And in smart recovery, it's very apparent. We talk about somebody brings up an issue, and we talk about tools that we've used and we've personally had luck with to get through those urges or to get through those issues. But I'm left to wonder in AA what specifically works, and maybe it's the steps, and maybe that's what I need to address. Maybe that's what works. I will I want to try to find a sponsor and start working the steps. I may have to do them independently, which is not ideal. But if I'm going to work with a sponsor, they should be aware of what I'm doing and okay with it. And I don't know how that will go. So I began reading the big book again. I went directly to chapter 3, the chapter to atheists and agnostics, and the author does a pretty good job of addressing the concerns and the mentality that I have, the friction that I have, and in thinking about implementing the program. But I find myself reflexively with just counter arguments. So my intention is to read it through once, read it again, at least that chapter more thoroughly with highlights, and discuss the highlights periodically through these videos. So my share today, today was day 10, and I brought up journaling again. That's probably going to happen a lot during my shares in AA and during these videos, just because it was such a powerful tool for me personally. It was kind of a two-part topic with our tendency to be willing to give advice and not take it, and the selfishness of alcoholism. So in regards to being full of advice that I give other people, sometimes it might even be good. I struggled with taking my own advice. So in my journal, one of the things I began doing was describing whatever issue I was having, writing it down, and then giving myself advice as I would a friend. And for me, that made it more difficult, but not impossible to take my own advice. And on the other end of that, if I was shitting all over myself, I would write down, what I was pissed off about, where I was beating myself up, and then what I would say to a friend. I wouldn't shit all over a friend for fucking up, so why was I shitting all over myself? So it was helpful in that. Also, I may have been 100 self-help books deep before I realized you have to do the shit that's in the books before you could expect any positive change in your life. And you can't just read them and that be it. So I began in the journal, whether I was reading Atomic Habits or Seneca's Letters to Lucilius, I would write down one thing that I could think about that day and try to execute in some way tangibly. I'm going through Seneca's letters again now, so I'll put that in the journal and then email myself so I can glance at that email throughout the day, and that's been helpful for me in actually doing some of the shit that the things that I'm reading say to do. On the selfishness part of the topic, I found very early in sobriety that there was like a selfishness paradox that I certainly wasn't. I had no problem being selfish enough to compromise everything that mattered most to me, my most important relationships, for alcohol, to drink. But when it came time to get sober, there was some friction in putting my sobriety before anything else. But what I found is that if I took care of my own physical health, my own mental health, and focused on my sobriety first, I was a better father, a better friend, a better partner. Everybody in my life was better off if I addressed those needs first. I'm certainly no good to anybody as a raging fucking alcoholic. So that's all I have for today. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys here again tomorrow. That's Shy, and that's Kuma. Hi, buddy.